Hey folks, want to jump on here and shoot a quick podcast episode. This one's going to be on fluxium.ai. If you want to go back, you can check out more information talked about on a previous episode, Building a Startup in Australia, Insights and Opportunities. That said, we'll do a quick overview before we get into the topic of today, which is finding a technical co-founder. A few things. Having conversations with leaders in the startup community. I was approached by Antler, the world's most active stage early investor, backing exceptional founders from inception. Got accepted to Fishburners, the home of Australia's largest community of tech startups. Continuing the podcast over on Apple, iHeartRadio, Substack, Spotify, and YouTube about business. Chatted to someone in, I'm not sure if I can talk about the companies too much, but they're mainly investors. There's two that stand out that are based within Sydney. I applied to A16Z Speedrun, an intensive 12-week accelerator program by Andreessen Horowitz designed for early-stage startups in AI, games, and tech. Investing up to millions in companies, the program offers mentorship, capital, and community support aimed at helping founders achieve product-market fit. Unfortunately, I didn't get accepted. It's in San Francisco, and they're looking for many technical co-founders that are recent graduates. Many technical co-founders is probably the number one thing, but didn't get that feedback. I won't make assumptions. I think that's what they're looking for. I'm non-technical, just to make that clear, which we'll just get into for a sec. Non-technical co-founder. A non-technical co-founder drives a startup success by focusing on business strategy, customer acquisition, fundraising, and team building, while technical counterparts build the product. Key roles include market research, sales, and marketing. They ensure business viability through networking and strategic partnerships. Key responsibilities, sales and customer discovery, getting out of the office to talk to users, identifying pain points, and closing early deals. Fundraising and investor relations, pitching the vision to investors and managing company finances. Business development and strategy, creating partnerships, developing the business model, and identifying market opportunities. Hiring and operations, hiring talent, defining company culture, and managing operational logistics. Product management, translating user needs into product requirements, user stories, even without coding skills. And then there's a few more things. How to succeed as a non-technical founder, find a strong technical partner, which we'll get into soon, focus on building a team where roles are clearly defined between technical and business functions. Bridge the gap. While you don't need to code, you must understand your product's technical constraints and capabilities to make informed business decisions. Leverage domain expertise. Use your deep knowledge of a specific industry to build a better product than a technical founder working without industry insight. Be the visionary. Tell a compelling story to stakeholders, investors, and potential employees to build momentum. Examples of successful non-technical co-founders: Brian Chesney, Airbnb, focus on design and user experience. John Foley, Peloton, focused on customer experience and vision. Michael Dell, focused on the business model and sales. Sean Rad, Tinder, focused on user experience and marketing. They are crucial for keeping the business afloat while the product is developed. And yeah, there's plenty of examples of non-technical founders out there. However, we'll get into looking for one in a sec. Is there anyone else? Evan Spiegel, Snapchat, focus on the vision and design of the product. Ben Silberman, Pinterest, focus on user experience and the product design rather than back-end engineering. Sean Rad, Tinder, we talked about that. Melanie Perkins, Canva, identified the gap in the market which is perfect for Australia, for accessible design tools and built the company without a technical background. Tim Westergreen, Pandora Radio, Melody McCluskey, Style Seed. We already talked about most of these things. Key success patterns for non-technical founders: hiring tech talent, focus on problem solving, strong user focus, validating ideas early. But let's get back to the updates. Built a website and secured the domain, fluxium.ai, created social accounts, not verified yet. So if you get any messages from anyone, myself or fluxium.ai, that if they're coming from me, they'd be my verified profiles. So that's how you'll know. That said, let's get into the main topic of the show today, which is finding a technical co-founder. If you go over to LinkedIn and you type in Fluxium.ai, I made you a post about it. I tried one yesterday, but for some reason the algorithm isn't as happy with me as it used to be. The engagement isn't there as much. I haven't posted in about 8 months. Maybe that's it. But technical co-founder, I put it up about 20 hours ago and got 26 applications. It had to close, so no longer accepting applicants. I went over the limit. And I think it closed a few hours ago, at least an hour ago, maybe a few hours ago. Just about the role, looking for a technical co-founder to join at the ground floor to help build a product from scratch. This is a true partnership role, not a job, with significant equity and full ownership of the technology side of the business. We work closely with the founder to turn an idea into a real usable product and scale it into a company. What you'll do, build and launch the MVP from zero, choose the tech stack and architecture, develop front end, back end, and core systems, iterate quickly based on user feedback, set up infrastructure, cloud, database, APIs, contribute to product decisions and strategy, help shape the long-term technical vision, hire and lead engineers as we grow. What we're looking for is strong software engineering skills, full stack or back-end heavy, experience building or shipping products, startup, freelance, or side projects, ability to move fast and make pragmatic decisions, comfortable working in an early stage in certain environment, interest in startups, ownership, and long-term impact, good communication and collaboration skills. Nice to have previous experience or previous startup or founding experience launching MVPs quickly, familiarity with modern stacks, e.g. React, Node, .js, Python, etc., DevOps/cloud experience, AWS, GCP, etc. What you'll get, significant equity, founding team level, vesting included, full ownership of technology and product build, opportunity to shape the company from day one, flexible work setup, current stage, pre-product/early stage, no funding yet, bootstrap, maybe pre-seed, may change that. Actively validating idea and preparing for MVP. About the founder, I'm a non-technical founder with a background in MSc Digital Marketing Strategy from Trinity Business School. I've spent time understanding this problem firsthand, and I have validated that it's a real pain point for others based on some of the research. I'm now focused on building a product to solve this in a simple, scalable way, and I'm looking for a technical partner to build it with me from the ground up. How to reach out if you're interested, send a short intro about yourself, links to projects /GitHub/portfolio, what excites you about building a startup. Yeah, just in case anyone was wondering, is this guy just nuts? Or yeah, maybe not. I think I really believe in this, but willing to pivot. But I think there is something there. So let's get into a bit about we already talked about, there's a few episodes back, finding your co-founder in 2026. Finding the right technical co-founder is one of the biggest leverage decisions you'll make. It's not about coding, it's about building a company under pressure with limited resources. Here's how to think about it. Number one, they can build fast, not just well. You don't need a perfectionist, you need someone who can ship quickly and iterate. Look for has built and launched real products, not just tutorials. Comfortable with messy MVPs, can go from idea, working prototype in days/weeks. Red flag, obsessed with, quote, perfect architecture, end quote, before users exist. Number two, strong product thinking, not just engineering. Great technical founders don't just need code, they understand users. Look for, ask, quote, why does this matter, question mark, end quote. Think about UX, that's user experience, not just backend. It pushes back on bad decisions, including yours. The best ones act like mini CEO for the product. Number three, ownership mentality. You want a hired gun. Four, takes responsibilities for outcomes, not just tasks. Talks in terms of, quote, we need to solve this, end quote, willing to go beyond the job description. So yeah, red flag, quote, that's not my job, end quote. Four, proven execution under constraints. Startups equals chaos, ambiguity, and pressure. Look for has worked on side projects. We already talked about this, startups or hackathons in the job description over on LinkedIn or the co-founder description. Has shipped something with limited time or money, can debug and figure things out independently. Number five, communication alignment. This is underrated and where most co-founders or co-founder relationships fail. Look for explains technical ideas simply, open to disagreement without ego. That's the second time I've come across ego or having a low ego environment. Super interesting. Or without ego or low ego. For those of you who don't know, just what is ego? Ego is the conscious mind representing an individual's sense of self-identity, self-esteem, and perception of their own existence. It acts as a mediator between personal desire, ID, and reality. helping to make rational decisions. Synonyms include self, self-image, personality, egotism, and self-worth, while, quote, inflated ego, end quote, often implies conceit. A, quote, low ego, end quote, describes a person who is humble, secure, and unconcerned with receiving personal credit or boosting their self-esteem, focusing instead on collaboration and effective outcomes. Key characteristics include high self-awareness, receptiveness to feedback, and ability to set aside personal agenda to achieve team goals. Usage examples in daily life and leadership: admitting mistakes. A leader with a low ego readily admits, quote, I was wrong, end quote, or, quote, I don't know the answer, end quote, to foster learning. Empowering others, giving credit to team members for a success rather than seeking recognition for oneself. Welcoming feedback, actively seeking input to improve rather than becoming defensive. Prioritizing solutions, focusing on finding the right answer for the company over being the one who came up with the answer. Collaborative mindset, prioritizing team success over personal status. Synonyms and related terms: humble/humility, lacking arrogance, modest, unpretentious, self-aware, understanding one's own impact. Secure, not needing constant validation, collaborative/empathetic, focusing on others. Low ego versus low self-esteem. This is on the overview on Google. It is important to distinguish a, quote, low ego, end quote, from a, quote, weak ego, end quote, or low self-esteem. A low ego, healthy, is confident, secure, and focused on others. A weak/low ego is detrimental, often stems from insecurity, leading to submissive, codependent, or overdefensive behavior, according to whatiscodependent.com and the APA Dictionary of Psychology. Yeah, let's continue. Low ego in a business context. You also use it for sports as well, but let's talk about business. We're just 15 minutes in, so we'll try to get this done pretty quickly. Low ego means prioritizing team success, results, and the best ideas over personal recognition, status, or being right. It is a leadership approach characterized by humility, empathy, active listening, and sharing credit, which creates high trust cultures and allows for faster innovation. Key characteristics of low ego business leaders: prioritizing outcomes, focusing on the best solution for the company rather than whose idea it was. Sharing credit and ownership, giving credit to team members and sharing the spotlight. Just a feedback, asking, quote, what am I missing? Question mark, end quote, and welcoming rather than defending against or maybe not, or constructive criticism. Vulnerability, admitting to not knowing everything and saying, quote, I don't know, let's figure it out, end quote. Empowering others, creating safe spaces for employees to voice opinions, innovate, and lead. Benefits of a low ego approach: higher team performance. Studies show that reducing the ego of leaders increases team effectiveness, whereas high ego leaders can reduce it up to 40%. Faster decisions: by eliminating personal defensiveness, conflicts are resolved faster and better solutions are found quickly. Greater innovation: when people don't fear punishment for disagreeing with the, quote, big boss, end quote, they are more comfortable taking risks and sharing ideas. Enhanced loyalty: employees feel secure and valued, leading to higher retention. Low ego does not mean no ego. It does not imply a lack of confidence or ambition. Instead, it means that a leader's self-esteem is not tied to being the smartest in the room, but rather to creating a team that performs at its best. Lovely. Let's just finish this. We'll go back. Number 3, ownership mentality. You want a builder owner. This seems like going back and forth a bit. Maybe not. Number 3, ownership mentality. You want a builder owner, not a hired gun. Look for, takes responsibility for outcomes, not just tasks. Talks in terms of, quote, we need to solve this, end quote, willing to go beyond the job description. Red flag, quote, that's not my job, end quote. We already talked about this. 4, proven execution under constraints. Startups equal chaos. Ambiguity and pressure. Look for has worked on side projects, startups, or hackathons. Has shipped something with limited time or money. Can debug and figure things out independently. Number 5, communication and alignment. This is underrated and where most co-founder relationships fail. Look for explains technical ideas simply, open to disagreement without ego. We already went over all this. Similar expectations on speed versus quality, risk tolerance, long-term vision. 6, practical tech stack choices. They shouldn't just know tech, they should choose wisely. Look for uses boring, reliable tools when appropriate. Avoid over-engineering. Things about scalability versus speed. Maybe best in class could be added there. Number 7, learning velocity. Tech changes fast. You need someone who can keep up. Look for picks up new tools quickly, curious and self-taught, has a track record of evolving skills. Number 8, startup realism. A true technical founder understands the game. Look for comfortable with uncertainty and no salary early, understands equity versus cash trade-offs, wants to build a company, not just code. Quick checklist. If they tick most, and I get the no salary early thing, or maybe debate, but we'll continue. This is just on ChatGPT. If you want, you can go back and look up the job description over on LinkedIn. You can apply at the moment. It's stopped. Too many applicants. So feel free to send me a message over on LinkedIn. Quick checklist. If they tick most of these, you're in a strong spot, can ship fast, things like a product person, takes ownership, communicates well, has built real things, chooses practical solutions. Biggest mistake to avoid: choosing someone just because they're, quote, a great engineer, end quote, or, quote, your friend, end quote. You're picking a long-term business partner, not just a developer. We already went over this in the previous podcast. Reality check: the best technical co-founders are rare because they combine engineering skills, product sense, ownership, resilience. That's why companies coming out of places like fish burners often emphasize team quality over idea quality. I thought I mentioned it. I think that's it. I think there's one big takeaway is, if you are interested in becoming a part of this team for Fluxium.ai and want to be a technical co-founder, please feel free to go over to LinkedIn. You can check out the job description, or maybe it's paused. If you want to send me, if you go over there now if you go over there to the company page and you see it's paused, feel free to drop me a message and I'll get back to you on direct messages on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, folks, and have a wonderful rest of your day.